What's up, viewers, subscribers, and agents alike? It's your boy Enlightened Luciferian Prince coming at y'all once again. Haven't been on here for a few days. Been tied up with personal affairs. Uh, Needless to say, it's only been a few days anyway. So good, glad I'm here. Glad you could be here. Um, in the midst of it all, I think that I want to touch on a couple current events going on in the world today. The private corporate government, not the government itself, but the DC corporate entity is saying that it's running out of money, people. They're going to go into a government shutdown, people. It's going to be a catastrophe. Now, those who have the knowledge, who went over it time and time again, studied the case law, studied definitions, studied all that, knows that that only affects a small percentage of what we call quote unquote government. And now that we can understand that in the economical concept, why don't we start understanding that in a daily, everyday life concept? So, with that being said, have no fear. Shit, they've been broke. You know that, historically proven. You know, when you do your research and you study your materials, you look into the knowledge of it, you know exactly they've been broke. Once they declared bankruptcy in 1933, it was over with. We know that. You know, we know that. March 9th, 1933 to be exact. But we already know that, though. But so have no fear. Things going to keep on rocking and rolling. It's just to cause a particular social upstir because they have to dumb it down because the truth is what they put on the media, that's for the general public's consumption because they know that the average general mind has an education of probably less than 6th grade. So they can't talk to you in the fancy legalistic terms because that would probably put half these people further into a coma, much less they already sleep anyway. But before I proceed with this video, I would like to tell all my viewers who watch my content, if you watch my content around children, please remove your children from the immediate vicinity because these videos are not for children. I do use strong language. It's my channel, it's my world. I say what the fuck I want. In discussion. You know, you want somebody who's a finesser and someone who speaks in those silver-tongued tones, go find you one of those people that you call public officials to go ahead and do that. But anyway, without further ado, I want to touch on the basis of something intrinsically important, especially at this stage that we have now come to within the regards to the videos and regards to a lot of content that I placed on here and a lot of stuff that I've said in regards to my channel and, you know, certain context that I can say on YouTube. And I would like people to have the understanding and understanding on what certain things are that legally obligate us that we find ourselves often in a quandary of sorts because we don't understand what they are. These things, people, are contracts. Now, the word generalistically, most people might be viewing this content and be like, well, you know, I know exactly what it is. I know what that says. I know what it is. I know what a contract is. No, you don't. And I'm here to correct most understanding in regards to that because you have to start looking at these things from a legal context and stop looking at them in a literal context. The literal context is not going to help you understand it from the legal context because what you think may mean something literally in regards to your signature going on that piece of paper, that documentation, it's going to affect you legally. And let me explain why. Here it is. Contract. First off, the first actual prefix of the word is con. But anyway, tract is a script, so conscript. Ain't that something? But anyway, we'll go into etymology later on. Here we go. We're going to use it in a noun sense, a written or spoken agreement. A written or spoken agreement, especially one concerning employment, sales, or tenancy that is intended to be enforceable by law. Both parties must sign enforceable contracts. Here are the synonyms to it. Agreement, commitment, arrangement, settlement, undertaking, or obligation. Now, we'll use it in the verb transitive sense. It means to enter into a formal and legally binding agreement. Example, the local authority will contract with a wide range of agencies to provide services. Now, the reason why these contracts are written up is, in most instances, is to make sure some legal course of action is taken against the person who falls into default, such as people who have credit card issues, such as people who have legal issues, such as court, such as people who have any type of, such as going into institutions or agencies, such as anything. There are what is called also implied contracts. There are also called unimplied contracts. What is an unimplied contract? An unimplied contract is not something that was formally presented in writing to you for your signature, but although it has not been presented to you formally in writing for you to sign, just your mere engagement alone with it is what makes it unimplied, but still enforceable by law. What do I mean? You walk inside of grocery stores or pharmacies or anywhere in the public venue, with minor exceptions now, especially today with the situation going on, and you have to basically look at it for what it's worth, that they have it posted all around their places of business, you know, and these things say your direct entrance into the store means that by you coming onto the premises or coming into this establishment, that we're not responsible for what may happen to you health-wise. We're not responsible. So you subconsciously may see it because it's always emblazoned in some sort of color, such as red, white, or black and white, whatever. It's still the same thing. It's posted. It's there. So most people, if not majority of people, walk right in there. What have you just done by going and egressing that doorway? You basically said that if something happens to me in here, because I didn't take it into the literal context, the legal context, I took it into the literal context, that I just walked right past it, that means that your movement, everything you do in there is recorded. So let's say, for instance, something happens to you, especially with this situation going on. I ain't gonna say the word, but you know what exactly I'm talking about. And you contract some sort of, scenario. You can't sue. You know why? Because they're going to use that video as evidence, because your presence was unimplied, that you basically walked in there and then they covered. Now you have what's called an implied contract. These are contracts that are otherwise drawn up, written specifically with the intent to exchange the responsibility from the actual originator of the documentation onto you by signature. But it has what? Terms and conditions. So when you understand the terms and conditions in a legal sense, not a literal sense, you'll start to understand why most of the time you interact with agencies and entities, they never want you to read the fine print. Now, the terms and conditions also come with sub-terms and conditions called fine print. Here's another example. As far as documentation, banks, they always got these posters and advertisements and all these things that tell you what they offer and so forth. But there's always boxes of information that are about this big that I know majority of people who view this channel have never read. If you say you did, cool, believe it in your conscience. But a majority of people, 98% of people who view this channel right now, don't read that stuff. No one ever asks for an opportunity to review a contract, because all contracts can be considered within the Truth in Lending Act 72 period hour. So you don't have to sign the documentation at that time. You can sit, read it, understand legally what it implies, how it will damage you, how it may benefit you, certain respects. 95% of the time is more to damn you. 5% of the time is more to give you little initiative, like reward points and mileage and flying. Who the fuck flies? I don't know. Anyway, that's beyond the point. But you get what I'm saying. Incentives. That's a small portion of the contract you agree to. Now, the thing is, majority of people don't read paperwork. They do not read the fine print. So when you sign that implied contract, but you obligate yourself to those terms and conditions. A lot of people might say, well, we already know that. Well, let me tell you something else that you might not know. Most of those contracts that you sign have also subsidiaries and third-party entities that they contract with to sell your information, to sell you as a piece of property just by you signing it. Don't believe me? People who have bank accounts, pull out the initial documentation that they gave you in that little folder that they like to fold it all up. So you just throw it in your little filing cabinet. You totally forget about it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Read exactly what it says in that fine print. Fuck what the initial paperwork says that you signed. Read that paperwork. And you'll see that these are third-party entities. Majority of them are debt collectors. Majority of them y'all never even heard of before. And these are the entities that are operating behind the scenes, benefiting off the contract that you unwittingly signed. So for all the know-it-alls who think they know it all, yeah, take a little bit of a more inside look at that documentation that you signed. Because what you think you know, I don't think you know. But anyway, let's go back to unimplied contracts. Let's go back to offers. Like, you know how you scroll in your email, offers. That's a contract. Now, you also understand that when you're watching TV, movies, whatever, everything around you is some sort of contract. It's except for the things in a natural sense, but still indeed implied concepts is it's still a contract in some sort of way because it's governed by some body of law in some particular sense. Unless, of course, it's in a natural sense, like your own personal space, your own tendency, which is your own body. You know, you are governed by the laws of nature. And one very intrinsic law that I want people to understand is Cruden versus Neely. And it says that all men are free, all institutions, you know, except for those prescribed by nature. No man is bound by any institution, by his fellow man, except by his consent. So which means that a lot of people who are in debt, a lot of people who are even in jail, a lot of people who owe student loans, a lot of people dealing with credit card companies, a lot of people with civil matters, you had to give your consent in some way, either expressed or implied. Now, expression is verbal, saying, hey, I don't wish to consent, I don't wish to contract. No one can force you into a contract. That's why most of the time when you understand when people go to court, judges be like, well, did anybody offer you anything? Did anybody? And if you answer in the negative, then they're going to stick you with it because you're looking at it in the literal sense, not the legal sense. No one can force you into a contract. All contracts are by your own consent. If you want to do something, it is your prerogative to say yay or nay. However, most of us feel implied. We feel obligated. Just like when we go to department stores and you got these people in here, hi, I work for Verizon. Can I get a moment of your time? No, because I know that you want to try to get my personal information to get me involved with you wanting me to have a contract in some sort of way. Or you walk with people with charities and donations. It's all business, is what I'm saying, people. Once you start putting this mind state on, now you'll start to understand and understand within yourself how to deal with these entities. But some people don't want to do that, you know, because there's a lot of scaredy cats in this world. You know, I wouldn't do that. I just want to just pay my bills and just go along to get along. Let me tell you something. If you want to deal with that, shut this video off and go your way. That's fine. That's your choice. That's your right, because I'm not going to force you into no contract. I'm not going to force you nowhere on you. It's your choice. But to those who are still watching this video at this moment, you know exactly what I'm saying is very true. Everything is always some sort of offer. Down to the junk mail you get in your mailbox. You know, those circulars they send around every now and again. Or all the documentation that is always presented or even expressed or implied. Everything is some sort of offer. The only contract that is viably lawful, not legal, is an agreement between two living souls. If I say, hey, I'm going to paint your house on Thursday at 1:30 p.m. and you say, cool. Now, we didn't draw no paperwork. You know, we didn't draw up any documentation. We just simply agreed. But there is still going to be some sort of obligation where you're going to be like, well, hey, are you still coming? You still going to be there Thursday, whatever, you're going to be there. Things happen because most of the time when those things are not written, and this is why independent contractors, before they embark upon these paths, this is why they draw up paperwork, and this is why they put in a legal framework, because now it makes them stick to a rigid schedule as opposed to just mutually agreeing, you know? by like verbal. And that's the thing that people don't understand. So when it comes down to that, it's all about understanding the basis of a contract from that 15-minute discussion. But when it comes to government contracts, the government contracts are oftentimes trying to transfer what is called the principal obligation. Now, this is the key point, and this is the very synonym of most contracts in law. It is a key point. It is the intrinsically most significant point in any contract, the principal obligation. Now, the principal obligation means any obligation arising under or related to the payment of principal obligation of any debt instrument. Notice what it said. Debt instrument, not instrument, but one expressly implying debt. As may be adjusted to account for accretion in the case of capital appreciation bonds or convertible capital appreciation bonds prior to conversion, or for unamortized original use discount or obligation. See, the object is like this. The first principal obligation, and I always use this as the most common allegory because I know an analogy, I should say, because a lot of people, they fail to understand what took place. And I said this in one of my previous videos before, but I'll say it again to drive it home. Okay, if we take the Garden of Eden sense, we're going to place all these words in quotation marks. In the Garden of Eden, there was something created. And then there were entities created who had to partake in the creation. Then there was a liability created in the midst of the garden. And then there were terms and conditions created in regards to partaking in the obligation. Now, the terms and conditions were stated, but based upon the ignorance of the terms and conditions, the end result was what? Boom, 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 boom. Transfer of the principal obligation. That is the same way your government operates to this day. And I know, can't nobody else break it down in that context. As simple as I just said, it's about creating liability, telling you terms and conditions of it, setting the slate for the law that's going to govern for it, and then the people who act upon it, you accept or you reject. We never ask ourselves this question. What if the proverbial characters or the parties to that contract never partook upon the liability in the first place? What would have happened? Well, I strongly believe, in my heart of hearts, understanding how creation and things that are created work according to the commercial sense, there probably would have been several more liabilities created, and it probably would have went a different way because obviously they didn't acknowledge that first liability. That is the world you live in today, whether you believe it or not. Now, I'm not saying in the biblical sense. I'm saying in a hypothetical sense of using that as the analogy for you to get a basis of understanding from where I'm coming from. A lot of people might not agree, but hey, every time you turn around, there's liabilities created. I don't care what you say. Always liabilities created. There's liabilities that's just right. There's liabilities where basic human just interaction could be considered a liability. And this is the thing that I just said earlier. What if you never enacted upon the first? Don't always think you say because you just didn't deal with it, because there's always going to be another one ad infinitum. You know what I'm saying? Y'all think I'm lying? Why do you use your driver's license to buy alcohol if it's illegal to drink and drive? Don't answer that question. Please don't. Think about it for a second. Don't answer the question to me. I already know the answer. Because there it goes. Your liability. They have acknowledged the use of the license or whatever. They just need you to purchase it because it's legal. And the choice is yours whether you want to enact upon it or not. And that was the liability that was created in the beginning. And y'all have to understand that mystic purpose behind law. If you don't understand that or understand that, you're going to fail at every angle. I'm not the be all end all so when it comes to this stuff, but I know exactly what I'm talking about. I've dealt with these people long enough to know how to reject their liabilities, their presentments. See what I'm saying? That's where you have to get to. Stop letting them transfer the principal obligation to you. Stop letting them put the created liability, the havoc they created on you, because now you unwittingly didn't know And you basically is like, hey, now when they come at you with their presentments, their documentations, their court procedures, their judgments, their liens, obligations, now you don't know what to do because you never understood it intrinsically from the first notion. You never understood it. And they're banking on you that you stay ignorant to that. Notice why word. And I use them words in proper context. They're banking on you to stay that way. Y'all don't believe me though. Some of y'all just don't. Some of y'all gonna have to play this video again. Now I ain't saying everybody, because I know some people clearly get me. You know, but I'm just differentiating between the distinctions of understanding. But you can't get it no raw and realer than that. Stop signing paperwork. Stop obligating yourself. Stop reaching out and vying for everything offered to you. Stop. Some of y'all using phones right now, or computers, or technology, whatever. They come with manuals. Those manuals have bylaws in them that tell you this is, you bought the product as a consumer, but our name's on it, copyright written wise, and we can have access to this, but we want you to go through the system process, the procedures, sign on notices and all that. And if you just wanted, you don't even want to read it. You just want to click, accept. And now y'all wonder why everybody's sitting here freaking out. Oh, the government listen to us. These entities listen to us. You accept it. You download apps on your phone. That's a contract. You can't use the app unless you give them access to what? But you got to give them consent, which your fingerprint on that screen is your consent. Let me stop before I scare some people, because I know everybody ain't ready for that. You give them consent. But I tell you what, you better know how to use that. You better know how to use that device. You know, you don't use it for illicit purposes and so forth and so on. Don't give them access to your contacts. Don't give them access to your photos. Just use a burner phone. Now y'all see why older people use little flip phones? You know? Older folks like, man, I don't get into all that stuff. I just use it because that's all it's for. That's all they need it for. Communication. But the average technological shift, which is another offer, is basically pushing people into consumerism, which is another offer of you actually going out here and buying, dealing, spending, not realizing that you're obligating yourself to many contracts. It could be even something so simple as purchasing a bottle of cologne. And they'll when you get there to that counter, guess what they're going to say? Would you like to join our rewards programs for you? Would like to get discounts? So y'all hear that sales pitch, you know, and notice the word pitch is the tonage of voice. That's why they got to have employees that's nice and cordial and so pleasant, because the pitch is to get you the contract. Y'all don't hear me though. It's like from first person. See, the sad part is society has geared a lot of people to refuse to say no or no thank you. See, society has taught you from the age of early childhood, it is rude to say what? I thought so. I ain't even had to say the word. Significant truth. Less than 24 minutes. So I ain't got to have all these Zoom meetings and exhaust myself on shit that is simple when you have a mature state of mind. So I ain't no guru motherfucker and just sit around, read books all day and try to kick this shit. That shit's exhausting. I have a personal life. Okay? I got to give it to you quick, raw, quick, and uncut. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, people who I deal with personally, they already know we go a little bit more in depth. But this is for this platform. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of people have this small-minded concept of what's going on around them. See, they told you, you was at school. If you don't have enough candy to share for everyone, don't need none of that. Bitch, it's my candy. These motherfuckers want their own candy. Fuck you talking about? This is my shit. We all walk past the same store. You know, I'm from up top. We all walk past the same store to get here. Whether you had the money or not to get here, don't mean I have to say yes. That's selfish. Isn't that what your government is? Oops. All for me and none for you. Straight. Let them eat cake. It's true. See, I don't care about it because I know for a fact that it's written. You just have to have the context of why it's written. It's written to benefit them. See those discounts you get? That you think you just, oh, I got this off 75% off. Trust me, it wasn't even worth that. They overstocked. They're trying to get rid of it. Them bargains y'all think y'all getting? Stop thinking that. They need your participation to get it off their shelves. Consumer. Understand consumerism and creditorship. That's the truth. The consumer mentality, and this is still on context now. Consumer mentality is to accept whatever conditions, even if they bind you to an obligation of making you forfeit the actual presentment itself. People who ain't never had credit. I know this when I was in college. People was like, they was sitting in the lobby, just talking, waiting for people just coming in. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Oh, yeah, would you like a student Visa card? They had them on both sides. Motherfuckers up there, lines of people. You think I signed up for that shit? Nope. Nope. I went to college, literally, not to my own horn, but I was in there when I was at the age of 17. Straight. Nah, I signed up $500. What the fuck you gonna do with that? I have no student loans. None. The truth. Because you have to understand that certain things have been presented to us before we even got to this point where y'all found my ass on the deep, dark annals of YouTube. Serious. A lot of stuff we just overlook. We know we all got screwed over before. Let a motherfucker come up on this channel or these channels and say they ain't never had problems in their life. What made you think I started studying and researching this stuff thoroughly? Because you had to lose before you win. People don't believe that. Now that you know that, act on it. If you don't wish to act on it, this video is just for entertainment and educational purposes only. Just like everything else on YouTube. Just like the billions and billions and billions of terabytes of information. You could have it your way. But this is a harsher, more significant truth. Stop letting these people win. See, society gears you to think that everyone's going to be a winner. That ain't how this works. You think I'm lying? Here's something for you, and I'll leave off on this note. Watch a series on Netflix. For those who have time and who like more in-depth entertainment, it might come across to you a little bit weird in the beginning, but watch this series called Squid Games. Yeah, Squid Games. You're going to see exactly what I'm saying is true. Let me make sure I'm saying it right, because I know for a fact that it is Squid Games. Just came out, brand new, but you're going to see how the capitalist system is built upon the backs of people who are desperate and financially strapped. And the imagery that's in there is a little bit over the top and so forth, but it's not real, so to speak. It's just trying to convey a large message in a short period of time. Let me see. And I like it, Yeah. I like it. But it shows you that, it's called Squid Game. It shows you that the system is structured to keep the desperate, financially burdened population of people obligated. Give them a chance to fight for their survival. When it gets a little bit too hard, they want to go back to the mundane. But then you'll see how, I don't want to ruin it, it's manipulated through a system of control. And I don't want to ruin it. I just don't, because I can go on and on about it. But I know a lot of people may have not seen it, may or may not. But I ain't gonna ruin it for you. It's called Squid Game. Check it out. You're gonna love it. It's a slow burn, like a little bit, but it always keeps you guessing. Just like society always keeps us guessing throughout day by day. But the object of it, in it all, is to win based upon the concept of humanity and basic humanity and understanding that you're being controlled some form in some way. Unless, of course, we have assistance in some way. But that's only knowledge of the truth. But y'all see it. Y'all ain't gonna ruin it for y'all. Y'all go ahead and check that out. Let's see. I plan on doing another upload today. And the topic of that, after this topic on this channel, will be the marriage contract in the state. Stay tuned for that. Agents, fuck you. Because the truth is, this ain't your game. You may have manipulated, you may play it, you may even deny the truth. But the truth has reigned for centuries, for eons, for millennia, continuously. So, stand by it. It's the strongest weapon, next to weapons of war and so forth. So fuck it. You know? Y'all stay tuned. Peace, light, love. Talk to y'all later.